The F-14 Tomcat was an air superiority-oriented fighter jet. It was a variable-wing, twin-engine tandem-seat jet developed using knowledge gained during the Vietnam War from combat between Soviet MiGs and American F-4s. It was the first of the Teen series of jets and remained in service with the United States until 2006. There were 712 built. The F-14 Tomcat is a tandem-seat plane, meaning there are two seats, one behind the other. The plane has two engines and two tail fins. The most notable visible features are the variable sweep wings. The wings of the F-14 can be moved to increase or decrease the amount of lift. With the wings fully deployed, the lifting power of the F-14 is greatly increased, and the wings are deployed like this during takeoff. With the wings tucked in, the drag and lifting power of the F-14 is greatly decreased, but the speed is increased, so the wings are like this during flight. The F-14's body is designed in a way that means, even with one of the wings half removed, the plane could still safely land. Beginning in the 1950s, the US Navy was looking for a long-range interceptor plane to defend their carrier battle groups from Soviet long-range anti-ship missiles. They outlined the plans for a fleet defense aircraft which would be equipped with a powerful radar and long-range missiles compared to the F-4. The plane was able to intercept both enemy aircraft and missiles. These requirements led to the development of the F-6D missiler in 1959, but the plane would have little defensive capability after it had fired all of its missiles, and thus it was scrapped after only 2 years. The Navy was still looking for a new plane, and thus they joined the Tactical Fighter Experimental Program alongside the US Air Force. They were told to do this by Robert McNamara, who wanted a joint decision between the Air Force and Navy to reduce the cost of a new plane. The Tactical Fighter Experimental led to the development of the F-111 Aardvark, which had the speed and payload capability that the Navy wanted, but it was designed as a bomber and lacked the maneuverability they needed. The Navy opposed adoption of the F-111, but were overridden, and the F-111B variant began development for the Navy. General Dynamics, the main designer of the F-111, lacked experience in carrier-based aircraft, and thus sought help from Grumman Aircraft. The F-111B was plagued with weight issues from its inception, and Grumman began design of an alternative plane, leading to the Grumman Model 303. At the same time, the US was fighting MiG fighters over Vietnam, which showed them that the current F-4 Phantom lacked the maneuverability required to gain air superiority. This led to the VFAX, or Navy Fighter Aircraft Experimental Program, which would develop a plane that would be used for fighting planes and ground attack missions, while the F-111 would be used as a long-range interceptor. Grumman continued work on their plane and offered it to the Navy in 1967, prompting the Navy to begin studies on fighters. At the same time, the Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Air Warfare flew the experimental F-111A, finding that it had issues going supersonic and wasn't well suited for carrier landings. He testified before Congress about this reservation surrounding the plane, leading to Congress withdrawing all funding towards the F-111B and allowing the Navy to seek out a plane on their own. In July of 1968, Naval Air Systems Command made a request for proposals for the Naval Fighter Experimental, or VFX. The VFX program called for a tandem two-seat, twin-engine, air-to-air fighter plane, capable of flying at Mach 2.2, or 2.2 times the speed of sound. It would be equipped with a Vulcan M61 and either 6 AIM-54 Phoenixes, or a combination of 6 AIM-7 Sparrows and 4 AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles. Of the 5 companies that entered the program, McDonnell Douglas and Grumman were selected as finalists in December of 1968, with Grumman being selected for the contract in January of the next year. The Grumman design was to use the TF-30 engines used by the F-111B, but the Navy planned to replace them with the Pratt & Whitney F-401-400, being designed for the Navy specifically. The Grumman design was lighter than the F-111B, but would still be the heaviest US plane to fly from an aircraft carrier. This was due to it being required to carry the AWG-9 radar, AIM-54 Phoenixes, and 7,300 kilos of fuel. Upon winning this contract, Grumman expanded their Long Island factory for evaluating the new aircraft. Much of the testing for the aircraft was done over Long Island Sound. To save time and avoid cancellation of the project by the new presidential administration, the Navy skipped initial prototyping and went straight to full-scale development. The first flight of the F-14 was on the 21st of December 1970, less than 2 years after Grumman was awarded the contract. Over the 30 years of the F-14's service, it underwent various upgrades to its electronics and armaments, such as moving to solid-state electronics, allowing for improved countermeasures to enemy missiles. The AIM-54A Phoenix was replaced with the AIM-54B and AIM-54C versions in 1983 and 1986. The AIM-7E4 Sparrow missiles were replaced with the AIM-7F and AIM-7M versions in 1976 and 1982. The AIM-9G/H was replaced with AIM-9L and AIM-9N in 1977 and 1982. In the late 1970s, the Tactical Airborne Reconnaissance Pod System, or TARPS, was developed for the F-14, which would allow for F-14s to be used as aerial reconnaissance vehicles, with 65 F-14s being modified to be equipped with it. In 1996, the TARPS was upgraded to the TARPS DI, which upgraded the 3 cameras used to digital cameras, with a further upgrade being made in 1998 known as the TARPS CD, or TARPS Complete Digital, which allowed for real-time transmission of photos. In 1987, some F-14s were upgraded to use the General Electric F-110-400, which were designated the F-14A+. Later, the F-14B. At the same time, the F-14D was developed, using the same upgraded engine as the F-14B, but also with the addition of a newer digital avionics system, and compatibility with the Link 16 system, a data link used by NATO nations. F-14s were also upgraded to use the digital flight control system, allowing for easier control of the F-14 while flying at a high angle of attack. In the 1970s, the VFAX program was revived to direct the overlooking of the lightweight fighter program, which led to the development of the FA-18. In 1994, Grumman made an appeal to Congress to continue upgrading the F-14 beyond the F-14D, though it was rejected. The F-14 underwent trials in the 1980s and 90s with live bombs, leading to the F-14 being cleared to use unguided dumb bombs. During Operation Desert Storm, air-to-ground missions were primarily left up to A-6s, A-7s, and FA-18s. Following Desert Storm, upgrades to F-14As and Bs were made, allowing for the use of precision bombs. In 1994, Grumman and the Navy were envisioning further upgrades of the F-14 Tomcat, which would plug the gap made by the replacement of the A-6. This would have only been an interim until the FA-18E/F entered service, and was viewed as far too expensive by Congress. Instead, an inexpensive upgrade was made, known as the Lantern, or Low Altitude Navigation and Targeting Infrared for Night Targeting Pod. The Lantern pod equipped the F-14 with a forward-looking infrared camera allowing for night operations, alongside a laser designator allowing the F-14 to drop and direct laser-guided bombs. The F-14's Lantern pod was upgraded over time, giving the F-14 the ability to accurately locate itself. The Lantern did not require any modifications to the F-14 software, but it did require a MIL-STD 1553B bus, which was not installed on the F-14As or Bs. To counter this, Martin Marietta began making a workaround for the F-14, allowing for the co-pilot/radar intercept officer to control the Lantern via another multi-function display in the F-14, much like how the TARPS pod would be controlled. This workaround meant that an F-14 equipped with a Lantern could not be equipped with a TARPS and vice versa until another workaround was developed. An upgraded version of the Lantern, known as the Lantern 40K, was made, allowing for the use of the Lantern up to 40,000 feet in altitude in 2001. This was followed closely by the Tomcat tactical targeting and the fast tactical imagery being made, allowing for the precise target coordination determination and for images to be transmitted during flight. In 2003, the F-14 was modified to allow it to be equipped with the GBU-38 bomb. The F-14 was in service with the US Navy from 1974 to 2006, alongside serving in the Iranian Air Force, with the last reported use of the Iranian F-14s being in 2015 while escorting Russian bombers during the Russian intervention in Syria. The F-14 was replaced by the FA-18E and the FA-18F Super Hornet. The F-14 was an incredibly powerful dogfighting plane and was later modified to be able to perform air-ground strikes. While the plane is outdated today, it still remains an effective design in the Iranian Air Force.